Hey there. Thank you so much for choosing to watch this video. I am Meredith, and I am an intuitive and an astrologer based out of the mountains of North Carolina. Without further ado, I'd like to get into some astrology for the time being. So Mercury just started finally to move, which means that Taurus is going to be over the next few days moving out of Taurus and into Gemini, moving away from Algol and out of the square to Saturn. So within the last few weeks, Mercury has been stopped and squaring Saturn and basically stopped on Algol. Algol is something that we'll talk about later with Venus as well, but it's like what has the power to consume you? It's like, where do you lose your head? It's connected to spiritual decapitation and, being mired in the worldly and using your spirituality to manipulate the worldly in a non-beneficial way. So we can see where, like, to me, the primary example of this Mercury on Algol situation is with the World Economic Forum and Davos and Bilderberg and all of these. I think that, like, we've seen a lot of Algol since last year, and that's kind of what comes out of it, is that felt Illuminati type influence and presence. But for us specifically, it's like, in the last few weeks, we can either see, like, were we consumed by something? Did we put in the energy and the effort and the attention to, like, transcend or transmute whatever that is? And how did that go? I know so many people who have left jobs and left relationships, and in the last few weeks, I think that it's a hugely, like, pivotal, sobering pause that we've been in for like 2 months with the Saturn square to the nodes. But really, the last few weeks have really highlighted, like, that, like, suspended animation feeling, stalled out, but I think, like, as Mercury moves, this will begin to move. So that's really encouraging. And Mercury moves into Gemini June 13th. And this kind of brings in the, I almost got it. Sorry. This brings in the, these kind of curious intellectual traits. Mercury moves out of shadow in Gemini on June 18th, which means that we kind of, like, we come out of this retrograde for fucking once and for all, and we'll be, moving on, and our mind will be free to ponder other things besides what's been on our plate in the last 2 weeks and in the last month and a half. So yeah, let's see what else. I'm excited for Mercury to move out of shadow. Today, which is January, is June 11th. Venus is connecting with Uranus. So Venus has been in Taurus. Venus is the planet of relationships, receiving, money, values. It's everything that kind of emanates from the heart center. Usually the condition of someone's heart chakra will determine, like, what they're receiving in terms of love, in terms of money, and then in terms of other things and other ways that those types of things show up. So I think that that's really interesting. I've also started to look at, like, in the Venus and Taurus transit, my space as an extension of my heart and the field of my heart. Which has made it a lot easier to clean things up, and it's made it a lot easier to manifest. So just figured I'd throw that out there. But so Venus feels at home and comfortable in Taurus. We feel like we're able to feel good in our bodies, like we're able to receive, we're able to feel like the Empress, just like allowing everything to come to us. Venus loves to be in Taurus, and relationships and money, those types of things tend to improve when Venus comes into Taurus, or if Venus is in Taurus natally in someone's chart. But Venus is about to get kind of weird, traditional Venus in Taurus is about to go a little bit weird, get a little bit edgy, have a teenage rebellious phase, because today Venus and the North Node are together. And, I think that this can show places in our lives where we need to be liberated, where we need to make a change. This is the kind of like things coming out of left field and like surprising us, right? And then on June 16th, Venus is going to conjunct the North Node in Taurus, and we're going to get a nice like checkpoint of how aligned have we been, what of our like how beneficial actually what we've been focusing on the last several months, like how beneficial have our steps been. I believe that we will have the option to course correct, and you know, this is all very creative as well, with Venus and Uranus together, and then Venus connecting with the North Node on the 16th. Venus will square Saturn. So whatever you come up against this week, on June 19th, Venus is going to square Saturn, and that's where we may need to take a step back from some relationships or some career pursuits. Like Venus is going to come into the very energy that Mercury has been in for the last like 2 weeks. So, you know, I feel like some of the things that we might have glazed over are going to kind of crop up, especially because June 19th is the day that Mercury is, or June 18th really is the day that Mercury is out of shadow. And then June 19th, boom, Venus squares Saturn. And that's going to feel, it can feel very sobering and like, you know, kind of like we take a step back in a good way. But depending on the signs that you have in the last 10 degrees of fixed signs, so Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius, that will determine, I think, like how your experience is with this, as well as have you already made those changes that you know on a spiritual level, like your soul has been like, hey, are you going to do this? Hey, are you going to do this? You know, I think that that's where, like, you know, really like not the time at all in any way or capacity to ignore like the pangs of your soul at all. But I think it is smart to be discerning of like, what is the pang of your soul? What is the pang of that shadow self, you know, especially with the South Node in Scorpio. And, you know, Venus will be opposing that. So it's like, are we going to, you know, through like that June 16th with Venus, you know, connecting with the North Node, it's like, how are we going to play it? You know, what are our relationships like? Are they compulsive? Do you feel like you are like being drained by those in your life? And yeah, I think like, yeah, I think that's all that I want to say with that. And one thing that I like about this right here, right now, coming up into, I believe July or June 19th, I mean, is that the North Node is going to move off of the 22nd degree, which is where it's been for 2 fucking months. I'm very excited about that. I think that'll be a really good thing. We'll kind of start to feel a little bit of movement as far as the nodes are concerned. And that's after Venus connects with the nodes too. So it'll be really, really nice. I've felt like that's like the fact that the 22nd degree is where the North and South nodes have been is contributing to that feeling of like, is this gonna move? Like, are we gonna move? You know, it's kind of, it's exaggerating that stalled feeling. So one thing that I think is interesting is that tomorrow, June 12th, tomorrow, June 12th, Scorpio, there's going to be a Scorpio moon. The moon is in Scorpio right now. We're coming up into a full moon on June 14th in Sagittarius. And what I think is really interesting about this, this Scorpio eclipse, it's like an eclipse checkpoint, this Scorpio new moon on Sunday. We can, like, we're exactly like 28 days from the May 15th eclipse on Sunday. And so I think like if you're into this type of thing, kind of chronicling your life with the astrology, just kind of asking yourself like, hey, like what all has changed since May 15th? And maybe I'll pose that question to you. What in your life has changed since May 15th? And, you know, how have things kind of transpired for you and like what's happened? So, and then the full moon in Sagittarius is the 23rd degree of Sagittarius on June 14th, which, you know, we've had a lot of time with 2021 and 2020 to exercise ourselves of past beliefs that don't serve us anymore. You know, it's like we think that we are done, not really, but you know what I mean? Like we think that we've like done so much, right? And then we come up against like another layer and another layer. And I would say that this is one of those full moons to consciously set out to do that, though you could have a realization just naturally about it. The other thing with this full moon in Sag is that, you know, we'll want to keep ourselves kind of grounded, right? It's squaring Neptune, which means that we can get off in delusional land for real. You know, we can have these like really lofty, like Sagittarian expectations of the like, you know, and then, you know, when the moon comes into Capricorn on June 15th, we're like, okay, well, never mind, you know. So we just want to make sure that we're staying grounded and realistic, but using the positive Jupiterian Sagittarius energy. And then on June 15th, Mars is going to connect with Chiron. Ugh, that's difficult. So Mars has been in Aries for a little while. It's going to be in Aries until July 5th. And on June 15th, Mars is going to connect with Chiron in Aries. So, you know, how you experience this, I think, is dependent on you, though for the collective, it looks, you know, this is like an exacerbating or irritating wound to the physical body or to the head. You know, so it's no surprise to see things like prions kind of cropping up around this time. And, you know, for those of us who know what that is and what that's connected to, you know, I mean, Mars and Chiron both have to do with the head in Aries, you know, or Aries has to do with the head. So Mars and Chiron is like a wound to the head. The other thing is, I would say that like for most people, like there's going to be a lot of like accidents on the road. Like when Mars and Jupiter connected, there was a lot of accidents, and I think that that could happen as well. So it's good to just kind of drive defensively. You know, I think that this could be a really healing day, healing to our physical body, healing to like our like vulnerabilities. And like, I think if we're honestly showing up and like where we feel we are lacking, or where we feel we are weak or vulnerable, you know, regardless of like what your gender is, like if we are like, you know, really like humbling ourselves and are like honest with ourselves about what our vulnerabilities and weaknesses even are, I think that that will help us a lot when Mars and Chiron connect, you know. But, you know, again, on the shadow side, this is like passive aggression, you know, people taking things that you say weird, and it's weird. Chiron in Aries has been very weird, has been a massive attempt to shrink and to minimalize the individual. And so who knows, maybe the individual wakes up a little bit from that. And yeah, so I just wanted to share those things. I tried to make this video 2 other times, and so I'm glad that this one hopefully works. And yeah, I hope you have a great day, that you take care of yourself, and yeah, bye.